Hey, hi. This is a. What is this? It's the Oz match. The movie and the book face off, and which one does it better? In the olden days, when I was a child, back when there were only 3 channels, no cable, barely color TV. The Wizard of Oz was a yearly happening. It was on one of the 3 channels, either CBS, NBC, or ABC. This was before Disney owned them all or owned part of them. In fact, Disney was just a weekly TV show on a Sunday evening, right after Wild Kingdom. Anyway, I digress and am slightly going down memory lane. All right, let's get back onto topic here with The Wizard of Oz, the movie. It was shown once a year. And some of the other highlights of the year also were Ben-Hur, the 10 Commandments, Willy Wonka. Those were things that we looked forward to every year. Now, The Wizard of Oz kind of scared the bejeebies out of me. I didn't like the movie, but it was a thing we did as a family, and so I was required to sit through The Wizard of Oz. Didn't like it. I was under the impression that the book was based on the movie, and I didn't like the movie, so I refused to read the book. It wasn't until recently when I was working with one of my students, and she mentioned that she was reading The Wizard of Oz, and she loved it. And I thought, okay, I wanted to connect with her, and so I said, okay, I'm going to read it too. Just, kind of paring down the anxiety, trying to get it so that I wasn't all scared out of my wits, okay? So I started reading it, and wow, it was different than I expected. A lot different. We'll do a little bit of trivia here for a second. The book was named The Wizard of Oz, and I've heard this before, that he came up with the name Oz. Author L. Frank Baum came up with the name for Oz because he was looking at his filing cabinet and he saw O to Z and he was like, Oz, okay, The Wizard of Oz, there you go. Yeah, that's how he named Oz. He meant it as a one-off. He wrote it for, I want to say his niece, but I'm not sure. It was for somebody. He wrote it for somebody. Okay, wait. This is the real story of the whole thing. Frank Baum did not write a book for anyone in particular. He just wrote it for children. However, Dorothy is named after a niece who his wife loved and thought was amazing. She was a newborn and unfortunately and tragically passed away when she was 5 months old. And so to help his wife, who was heartbroken, he named Dorothy Dorothy. And that is how it came to be connected to his niece. For somebody, and he meant it to be a standalone, but he got it published, and the response was amazing from the children who read this book. And he got thousands of letters that said, hey, we want to hear more about Oz. And so he went on to write 13 more books in the series, and all of them the kids loved. I don't know if the critics loved it, but the kids loved it, and that's the critics you need to write for. The book was intended to be, well, actually, in his words, and I will read what he said, it aspires to be a modernized fairy tale in which the wonderment and joy are retained and the heartaches and nightmares are left out. Now that's going to come into play in my own personal experience with the movie versus the book. There are so many interesting and very fun characters in the book that are not in the movie. And I think it's a shame because they are just wonderful, wonderful characters. So that's a little bit about the book. It was written in 1900, by the way. And so I was mistaken, clear up until recently, that it came after the movie, because it definitely came before the movie. The most famous version of the movie, of course, was the 1939 version with Judy Garland, who was an adorable child. And she did Dorothy very well. You probably already know a lot of stuff about the movie. Excuse me, it starts out in black and white, and it's the first time that Technicolor was actually used, I think. Oh, maybe I better check. Okay, so it was not the first movie to use Technicolor, but it was the first movie to go black and white in Technicolor. Okay, according to Google, who we know knows everything. All right, the plots of the book and the movie mirror each other almost perfectly. Everything that happens in the book, okay, everything that happened in the movie happens in the book, and vice versa. And the characters are all basically the same. There is a good witch of the south and a good witch of the north, and they both play a part in the book, but they chopped it down for the movie and made her all just the Wicked Witch of the North. They're basically the same. Okay, so now what's different about them is the tone. As we said before, L. Frank Baum, in 1900, he wrote it to be a fairy tale that left behind the heartaches and nightmares of being a child. It wasn't meant to have a theme, or a moral was probably it, more like it. And I feel like that the movie made everything just a little uncomfortable and scary, and just was not something that was enjoyable at all. It just was hard for me as a child. And I took a small sampling of the people I know. It was a very small sampling. And 4 out of 5 have said that it scared them, or it was scary, or it was uncomfortable to watch. Whereas the book has the gentlest language. The descriptions of the people are just very nice. And when it came to the part where Dorothy was sent to the Wicked Witch of the West, she didn't want to do it. And for months, she put it off. 4 months. Before she accidentally did not mean to at all. She was trying to talk to her, accidentally spilled some water on her, and that was the end of the Wicked Witch. And that's in the book, okay? In the movie, it seems like she's like, well, I can't go home, and she just was, okay, got to do this, I'm gonna. And it just seemed so off-putting for me, personally. What else was different? Let's see, besides the tone and the people, let's see. The flying monkeys, everyone that I polled, the very first thing I says, what did you think of the movie The Wizard of Oz? And they all said, it was scary. The flying monkeys were terrible. They were the scariest part. In the book, those poor flying monkeys weren't anything to be frightened of. They were just to be pitied. They were under a curse. They were enchanted, and they had to do what was required of them by whoever wore the cap. And so when Dorothy had the cap, they did all these wonderful things. When the Wicked Witch of the West had the cap, they had to do horrible things, and they didn't want to, but they had to. They should have been pitied rather than feared. Okay, so the final thought I have for L. Frank Baum, he wrote this to his sister, and he said, "To please a child is a sweet and a lovely thing that warms one's heart and brings its own reward." And I really love that he put that into the book and put that into action. And I really wish that the movie had kept the tone of the book. I think it would have been just as wonderful and just as enjoyable. But there you go. If you would like to read a facsimile of the real book, I will leave the link below for the Library of Congress, because they have scanned in the book. It has some incredible illustrations. And let me look and see what the illustrator's name. Don't have it here. I will put that into the description as well. If you get a chance, read the book. It's pretty amazing. So my opinion of this whole thing, and it is my opinion, is that the book is much better than the movie. And I will read the book again. I really am very sad that I have not read it until now. All right, we will see you next video. You have a wonderful week, and see ya. Do you want to say hello to Lucky? Here. Hi. Hey, Lucky. Yeah, okay. All right. You can get down now. All right. It's okay. You can get down now. You don't... All right. Well, okay. You can be here. You can be my Toto while we talk about the Wizard of Oz. Yeah? Oh, nope. He has no interest in that.